The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
So, you guys miss us? Hi, welcome back to the number one Contender podcast, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things movie, trivia, schmodown. I am your host, Jarod the Dark Jedi Bachman Subs, your resident corruption fan. And joining me, as always, is your resident quirky merc, Travis Grossman.
Schmower, I hardly know her.
So you see, guys, we took a mini break completely intentionally to celebrate Sam Levine's return, and we were like, oh, we'll be gone as many weeks as years as he wasn't playing. Do you think they bought it?
I don't see any money.
Okay, so quick explanation. As we explained before, the Friday Night Titans format got a little tight for us, mostly because, and I think a big part of that was kind of our mentality with how we do the show, is that last year being our first season covering the movie trivia schmodown, we were we recorded Saturdays and we uploaded Saturdays. Basically, with the biggest advantage of that being that we uploaded the day after the week's matches had finished. So our coverage was basically it was a really good like end of the week roundup of Schmodown. Other shows kind of went in the middle of the week. Other people had their cycles there. And Travis and I both are very, get it all in one basket and then put it on the belt and keep going type mentality with this kind of thing. So trying to straddle the Friday Night Titans format when I work super late Friday nights, I get, like I've said before, I get home at like 3:30 in the morning, Friday into Saturday. And also because Lent and I work at a fire hall club, there's a fish fry going on. So my Fridays have been 10-hour days. And by the end of the night, I am run so damn haggard that I don't have it in me to then watch like an hour and a half, 2 hours of Schmodown. Not that I don't love it. I do love it. I just want to curl up in a ball, cry, and go to sleep. And that's also not counting nights where I end up after work going into Pittsburgh to be with my girlfriend. So there's a lot there. So on top of, the tired element on my side, and I'm going to take the majority of the blame here because we had a sweet opportunity to knock this out of the park for Saturday, March 26th. However, week before that scheduling conflict, we have the week that was the Sam Levine Marisol McKee championship match. March 25th is my birthday. And Joel showed up in Latrobe to surprise me. I got out of work early and we were celebrating. And I realized I was probably going to feel like shit the next morning and told Travis not even to bother. So that was me over celebrating and getting too lit for my birthday. I pushed it back then. Then the next week came up, and then there was another scheduling conflict. No, that's when I got deathly fucking ill. I caught a stomach bug, and everything was coming out of both ends. The only thing worse that happened to me that week was me seeing Morbius. But we had to push back because, again, I was violently ill. And then we hit the same problem of, okay, it's Friday, and now I'm getting home at 3:30 in the morning, and I don't really have it in me, and there's other things going on Saturday. So the solution that Travis and I have come to is that we're going to test drive this. Number One Contender is going to become a Monday show. I will at some point have to have luckily the graphic that's right behind my head updated at some point. Now it's gone. Updated at some point to reflect the fact that Number One Contender comes out on Mondays now, maybe, probably from now on. This will eliminate us from having to go bi-weekly, which I think would have been challenging in its own right. But I think we're still within the comfortable strike zone of right after the week's schmo, while also, I think, being an easy time slot. This is normally when we record the main show. This is normally when we record Nerd Academy. So hopefully we're going to move Nerd Academy around this because that's normally easy to just kind of also crank out same day in the morning, provided, we know what we're talking about. And with Moon Knight going on and Ms. Marvel not long after that, I'm not worried about that. So anyway, apologies for the delay. It's
You just
like
really
I
didn't
said.
talk about Marisol losing the belt, did you?
You know what? Anyway, Sam Levine versus the Barbarian. Shit, hold on. I'm jumping ahead. We're gonna speed run some of these because of how long ago they were. Harris brothers are back. That's fun. That'll be the only returning team that we'll be talking about this episode. Good match. They put up a good fight. I think the movement has really big potential.
I think so as well.
And that's pretty much all we got there. Also, that week, big week to be Felicity Jones in the movie Trivia Schmodown. Like, there were so many questions about her and Rogue One all for that whole week.
Yeah. Also, with the Lawrence brothers back together, that means Paul Oyama is partnerless for teams.
To our knowledge.
So he's partnered with the Coyote now, right? Like, he's definitely with Adam Collins.
He has to be. He has to be.
That just makes too much sense. That pairing just makes itself at this point. Like,
yeah. No, absolutely. There's no way in hell that we're not about to see a very, very terrifying team in primetime in the Coyote. I honestly forgot that Paul was still with Swag. I thought he was one of the casualties of the reboot. But
I'm fairly certain
right.
he is.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm misremembering. And then we saw Sam Levine defeat the Barbarian in his big return to reclaim the singles belt. He played in a number one contender match against the Barbarian. We said the name of the show. Show's over, which was impressive. I got terrified watching that match. In hindsight, knowing he was coming from Marisol, I really was rooting for the Barbarian. I did not want Marisol to have to step into the ring with Sam Levine. Not that she did not handle herself like a goddamn champion in that match. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I was worried, and I knew the words ring rust never even went through my mind with Sam. I knew that wasn't going to be a thing. I was surprised to the degree with which it was not a thing.
Yeah, I've definitely had the brief moment of how hard is he going to come out swinging? Because I came into the MTS after he had already retired, so I wasn't surprised to see him do well. I was quite impressed with the title match, and we'll get to that in a minute. But um, yeah, just managing kept. I feel like managers in some degree like are all privy to play in the Schmodown because of how many questions they have to see for training their competitors. On
Yeah,
top of the fact that Sam was a former champion to begin with.
exactly. Sam's a master. He is one of the greatest. Schmodown hot take. I don't know if this has ever come up, and it probably hasn't because Sam playing hasn't been a thing for our tenure. Uh, so I this may be a hot take. I hold Sam Levine on a higher pedestal than I hold Dan Merle. I really, really look forward to seeing those two uh, cross blades this season. And because it's inevitable. It's inevitable for Sam Levine and Dan to have to play each other. And again, when Dan was in his initial run, was pre me getting into the Schmodown again, and I wanted to bring this up several weeks ago. The thing that I love the most about the reboot season, and I don't want this to sound patronizing, because obviously, because like you got into the Schmodown at a different era that I got into the Schmodown, and I've loved everything that's come since, but I'm having this moment where you as like again, not to sound patronizing, but like my Schmodown Padawan, right? That you're getting to experience these legends that like you missed because you came in like the year they either dissolved or were like had already like rode off into the sunset. Like you came in after Sam retired with both belts. You came in just in time to watch Team Action fall apart. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
you like you did not get to live through like the hype that is watching Sam Levine go fucking movie trivia Super Saiyan, and you didn't get to enjoy like the chaotic crackheadedness that is Andrew Guy being Ben Bateman's hype man. You know what I mean? I'm excited that like I get that like we get this together now. Because we didn't get it when I was like fighting tooth and nail to get somebody else that I knew into this shit. Um, and it just makes me happy that you get Sam Levine and Team Action in a season together when it seemed like neither of those things would ever happen again.
This season just lends itself so well to the old and we're gonna throw this person in
Yeah.
kind of feel. It's I'll talk about it more when we get to Team Action's match, but like just sending Sam Levine in by himself as a again, I think last season was great as a digital format in a time where that
Yes.
needed to be a thing. Uh, but you can tell that everyone, and especially Christian, is just having so much more fun with what they're
Oh
doing
my
right now.
God. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. We've talked about the double-edged sword that was the movie trivia Schmodown feeling more sport, less entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, Moon Knight joke. It's like the tattoo on Ethan Hawke's wrist. Now the balance is shifting in the other direction where it's almost 50-50. It's almost 50-50, but it's definitely leaning towards pro wrestling soap opera stuff.
Mm-hmm.
um and I'm not upset about it. It's different. It's oh, how do I put it? It's heightened. You know, it has all of the polish that the Skybound era has had so far. In terms of like, you know, like with the, like, we are a company, we're doing a thing now, you know, that like I don't know how to describe it without making one sound lesser than the other. But this does truly feel like the pre-pandemic mixed with the decorum, for lack of a better word, of the digital era, that came with, you know, things like we're gonna have a line judge, things like a rule book. Um, it's all coagulating into what could very well be the next best season of the Schmodown. And I don't just throw that around. Like, the trivia has been great, and we have these storylines back, and there are all these great, you know, characters that are coming back. And I think it is a testament to this game that last year. What's up?
You said trivia's been great. Two things. One, I knew 2 5-pointers in the last however many weeks we've been gone, which was crazy. And also, whoever thought of the idea of they have that new question format of which of these did not appear,
Yeah.
or which of these movies did so and so not appear in. That is genius. Whoever came up with that question format deserves a raise, and I'm sure they got one. But like, that is such a cool way to reuse trivia from movies that you've already
Oh
used.
yeah.
And also just like the mindset you have to use to get into like, oh crap, which one weren't they in? Oh no.
You're absolutely right. And I think it lends itself to you know, I think it rewards players who use readily available tools. You know, it rewards a practical level of training, of like, just of like scouring IMDb, scouring Wikipedia, scouring Rotten Tomatoes, you know? Um like, somebody who has a Rolodex of IMDb profiles for movies, like, that's for you, man. That is for you. Like, that player, you're at home here. Um but yeah, no, the trivia has been great, and again, let it stand as a testament to the beauty that is the movie trivia schmodown. That we had the rigid format that was the digital age, where you had, where again, the sports entertainment out the window, right? You, like, it was damn near impossible to like pull off any plot lines. It was super difficult. It was a lot of setup for this season, which is greatly appreciated in hindsight. That was the greatest season of this game so far for me, who's been here for not the whole thing. Like I said, I started with the big Star Wars Fatal Five Way, with Damon and friend of the network, Steele Saunders, and Sam Witwer, and all of them, and they're up to this past Friday has been my entire tenure thus far of Schmodown fandom, and last season was magical, and I'm just so glad we got it. And I can't believe that we have the potential for this season to improve upon that. And if that is the direction we're going in, despite however many changes, despite who has to walk away, if this sport and this show can keep getting better every year, even during peak pandemic time, I can't even begin to fathom what the following year will have in store. That's enough about me waxing poetic. Uh, let's talk about the week that Travis thinks I wanted to avoid talking about on my birthday. This happened on my birthday.
It sure did.
I was afraid to watch on my birthday. Part of me, I was like, corruption doubleheader on my birthday, and I was like, we've had it too good for too long. What are you? What are we? I'm full screening you with.
My
Oh,
Bibs
your
soap.
soap. Oh, yes, it's your Bibs soap. I
I
couldn't
started
tell
using
what
the
you
other
had.
one. I started
Yeah,
using the other one. It's lovely soap.
I'm glad. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. The
Yeah.
one you were holding, I'm assuming that's the one that I got you because, and I quote, it looked like the Tesseract, and I laugh.
Yes. Yes.
Good. Uh, so yeah, Bibbs played Chance, and he made him work for it. You know, again,
Yeah.
this is what you've gotten at for years now. We're going on 2 years of the sentence of Chance is probably the most consistent player in the Schmodown.
He's always at
And
90%. Like there's
I was
never a
surprised to see
time.
how almost identical Bibbs and Chance's stats were, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I think like with Bibbs, he's been around long enough that just tends to be where you even out. And with
Yeah, that's
Chance,
true.
he's
That's
just
true.
already he was there from the beginning and has not changed since. Um,
You're right. You're
because
right.
like I think this is a perfect example though. Like Chance comes in, he's at his 90%. And I know they showed the numbers, and I don't remember what they are, but like he's gonna hit most of his questions. And I think Bibbs came in at like 91.
Yeah.
It was just one of
Yeah.
those
No, you're
like
right.
just knew it to squeak it out kind of deals.
I have nothing but respect for it. You know, I've said before, and we'll get into it now. If I gotta watch my precious corruption take an L, it brings me great joy that the only people they ever lose to are fucking monsters. And I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm proud of how Chance performed, and I am damn proud of how Marisol performed. I don't want to talk about it to sound like I am disappointed in either of their performances. Chance
This might
did
be
great.
the Chance did great. This might be the single greatest singles championship match of all time.
Simply by the numbers. No one missed a fucking question.
Yeah, like there was not a single missed point on the table.
No,
Despite
literally, like
Sam's best efforts.
seriously, like that blew my mind. Like the PPE was 100%. The only reason Sam won, I don't have only reason, like obviously his trivia prowess is a factor, but the only reason Sam won because he had the quick draw on the speed round. You know, like literally, if if the only note you can give somebody coming out of a match like that is we got to work on your buzzer hand. We just got to have you ring in faster. Like that's a win. Like that's a win. You know? Like this is like I immediately went, "Oh, shit, this might be this season's Demolanta Damon 1."
Very
You
possible.
know? Which again, I stand by. I think that's the greatest movie trivia showdown match of all time. You know? And again, maybe I'm biased because it was such a monumental thing that happened in our first season of this podcast. But still, I like that was insane. Like I couldn't even be upset. You know? Like I swore really loudly when it happened. But I couldn't be upset. I couldn't be upset at all. You know, Sam Levine's a fucking monster. And I like how unnoticed the league is again. Like immediately. Like I said, like there is that level of like, okay, he took on Barbarian, who using my like Star Warsified like power rankings that we've talked about before, Barbarian is Jedi Master tier, right? Like he's not Jedi Council. I don't think Barbarian's Jedi Council. But he's master tier. He's master tier in my opinion. And Sam Levine is fucking Yoda. Like using that comparison, you're talking about a Yoda or a Windu type archetype there. In terms of just I am incredibly I have refined the skill, and I also just have the raw power. And I was not surprised to see Sam Levine defeat the Barbarian. That is not a slight against the Barbarian. I would not want to play against Sam Levine because I know the odds are stacked against me. And I went into the match with Marisol, again, admitting I had my doubts with her ability to defeat Griffey Nooms, because Griffey Nooms seemed like this insurmountable force of nature, and I didn't think he could be defeated. And she proved that he could be. Marisol did it. Marisol got that job done, and it shocked the world. When she did it, I went in there rooting for her because corruption till I die, but I was afraid. I went into this very afraid, but knowing she would hold her own. She was not intimidated. There was no rust from, season's end to season's beginning. Like, she was pit up against a god and only lost because he was quicker on the trigger. Like this should be counted. Obviously, it's a loss on her record. But I think when we talk about Marisol, like in the annals of Schmoedown lore, I think one would be remiss to not bring this match up and go, even though she lost, she didn't miss a single point. Like, this is just one of those, I don't care at the end who was on the other end of the "and you're winner." This is one of the most impressive feats in this game. End of discussion. I've been ranting and raving for a minute. Travis?
No, I think you summed it all up.
Sweet. Oh, I'm glad we can get off of this conversation now. Hold on. I lost my cursor. And we now have... Okay. Let's pause and talk plotline. I think that's where we are now. So there's a big stipulation that may or may not be accepted. Travis?
Indeed.
How are you feeling? For those of you at home, it seems as though we will be getting Shazam v Korruption part what at this point? 4?
I think 4.
Shazam v Korruption 4. And if Korruption accepts these terms and Shazam proves victorious, Korruption as a team, as in Mike Kalinowski and Chance Ellison, will have to break up and reforge a new team. Now, I want you to talk about this first, because I have a lot of I unsurprisingly have a lot of fucking thoughts about this.
So the only thing I'm a little unclear on is if they don't take this shot right now and they instead work their way up to, pardon me, like if instead they opt to take a number 1 contender match, does I don't think the stipulation still applies. But also, like, it's a plotline thing, so it's been decided. I would love, actually, side note, to find out how many Friday Night Titans they record in, like, one session.
Yeah, well, I know Lomas isn't from California, so, like, they knocked out Lomas's IG match, and probably had to have like all of the
Yeah.
stuff with Team Action had to be in one day.
Because like you can tell from certain sects that like, oh yeah, they did like this batch of 2 or 3 together. I was curious how many they do at once.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus, Cushing is still at the desk.
yeah, exactly. But
Makes me happy to see her commentating. Like again, she's not back in the
yeah,
ring, but it just makes me happy to see her.
yeah, it's nice. So part of me is a little unclear on that, but I think I'm still in last season mode where that like would be an option they were given and they genuinely had the choice to turn it down. So I'm presuming they will have a counter offer of some kind. I don't know what
Seeing
that
as
is.
how they've stretched this over 2 Friday Night Titans already,
Yeah,
and still haven't like actually said yes, I think you're right.
and they also in one of the recaps this past week showed we just talked about them fan favorites, JT, Paul Preston. What were their names?
Yeah.
What's the team name?
The Movement.
Movement. Thank you. They showed the Movement in one of the recaps. I think maybe signaling that they're gonna go for something. And again, Christian has talked about this at length. Outside of a scripted arena, where teams kind of put itself in a hole last season of none of my star teams are still together. What do I do?
Yeah.
And I think he and the writing team have done an immaculate job so far putting themselves like. I do want to say that I think they're doing a fantastic job of scratching the member berry itch and utilizing all this new creative space they have to work in because like
It's literally textbook how you do it. It's textbook how you do it of like, here's the thing you like, it's back. Now let's challenge it. Right? Like perfecto.
it's good. It's been very good. So yeah, I'm not sure. I can't imagine that Corruption doesn't give some kind of counteroffer, especially with Mike being sidelined with other things as well. Because like he still has a little bit for Inner Geekdom before he has to play Kevin again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say it. It's gonna be Kevin again.
It will be.
But if he's going on this path for the singles belt too, they then have the option to say, well, he's going to go work on that. Corruption doesn't have time to play teams right now. They'll work at a number 1 contender shot later in the season, which then opens up some kind of new team to come through. Like maybe that's how we get Adam and Paul as a team.
Yeah.
Coming in and saying, no, we want their shot. Because that could be a thing. If they refuse the match, that's some way for them to load in a new team into at least into a number 1 contender shot.
I'm listening, and while I was listening, I was also pulling up the end of this most recent Friday Night Titans, because truth be told, I could not remember and tell if Andrew Guy was trolling or not that this was a one-time return for Team Action. And I am admittedly disappointed that it seems like he wasn't bullshitting.
I was excited for manager Guy. That
Yeah.
made me happy. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But
yeah. Sorry. I wanted to bring that up in case that like Team Action would be the only other established team.
Yeah, that I mean,
Like the only established teams would be Shazam, Korruption, Team Action.
I feel like there's got to be someone else we're not thinking of. But
everyone else is really broken up. I mean, the Wild Berries, but I mean,
they're unavailable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
whatever that means.
That too. What?
Could you imagine? Putting the Wild? Like, I know it means that the Wild Berries aren't playing a title match because it's the Wild Berries, and why would we put them in a title match? But how funny would it be to see them play Shazam?
I think them playing Shazam would be great. I would also love to watch them play Korruption. Because there's just a level of like, you know, your suave anti-heroes in Chance and Mike versus Josh McCouga almost Batista bombing the TV because he got a question right. Putting those two things next to each other sounds like a lot of fun. And I'm into it.
Yeah, I feel like they don't take the deal. They give a counter offer, and in like maybe like 2 weeks, we have some kind of title match.
Yeah,
teams.
I think your timeline is accurate. I agree with everything you've said. Real quick before we get into our next one, by the way, I was trying something different. Want to see how this plays in the middle of the show. Quick word from our sponsor at sundaysbloodymary.com. You guys know the drill. Sundaysbloodymary.com has the best Bloody Mary accoutrement on the planet. It's my favorite Bloody Mary mix, and that's coming from somebody who makes their bloodies from scratch most of the time. Well, at least I used to. The award-winning spicy Caesar mix is the way to go. I actually, a couple who comes to the bar a lot named Jason and Maggie. I love them. They're super sweet. Jason is the gentleman who sold me my PS5, in fact. We got to talking. They love the way my mom and I make Bloody Marys. And I was like, well, for whenever you're at home, I got a suggestion for you. They, in front of me, ordered 4 jars, 2 of the spicy, 2 of the mild, and they're already burning through it. It arrived and they had nothing but praise for it. And yeah, so get yourself, do what Maggie and Jason did. Do what they did. Get yourself some Sundays. And go to our TeePublic.
Sure, TeePublic.com.
Get yourself a TNAP mug and pour your Sunday's Bloody Mary in the TNAP mug, and then that, my friends, is brand synergy. So go to sundaysbloodymary.com/TNAP or /shop. Use code TNAP TNAP at checkout and get 10% off your order, and you help out your favorite nerds while you do it. Did I ad read good?
You did.
Thank you. I'm still not used to it. It's still hilarious to me that we have a sponsor. Like it is deeply funny to me, like on a spiritual level, that we did that. All right. So undercard for last week. We're making good time. We're flying through. We had Jesse Swift coming for vengeance against the Quirky Mercs. Up against the Hornet, Brandon Hanna. I love the thumbnail for like the individual match because it looks like the world's weirdest versus video because you have Jesse Swift in normal attire, Brandon Hanna looking like a dapper BDSM person. And it looks like they're hosting a versus show about who would win in a fight, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker or Storm. And there's just a lot to unpack here. I think Luke. Anyway, I got another IG match.
Yeah.
More stuff that's in our like super in our wheelhouse. Travis, thoughts on this match, sir?
I think Jesse Swift is one of those players that when you play against him, the match becomes a slugfest.
Yes.
And I don't know how else to describe it, because like it's not that he's a bad player. I feel like the questions they get are, I think it was no, it was it's the next IG match where somebody's round 2 was just extraordinarily hard.
I know the Punisher got Hasbro. Or
Yes.
no,
Okay, that was
Transformers specifically. It was
no,
Transformers.
no, it was Hasbro. You were right. It was just all Transformers questions.
Oh, it just happened to all be okay. Okay.
Yeah. I remember that
Not
match
even a
was
GI Joe in the mix.
nope. I was just like, oh my god, this is maybe the hardest IG round 2 I've ever heard. But we're not there yet. I just feel like maybe they decide when Jesse comes on, like, yeah, we're gonna ramp up the question difficulty just enough, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
He can hang,
But-
make him sweat.
something gets in the water when he's there that all of a sudden the number of points drops, and the number of like, oh god, oh what's this question? Oh no, because it's just it feels way harder.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's not
yes.
just him. It's both of the players, you know. So it's a wild thing that you don't see often, but he just seems to have that effect.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think you're onto something there. Oh, also, what is this Star Wars Championship caliber question doing in this Inner Geekdom match? I was
Oh,
flipping
which one
through the
was it?
match. This was in round fucking 1. Did you hear that? Are the first words spoken in what Star Wars film?
I don't even think that's a. See, in Star Wars, that's maybe like your 3-pointer, right?
That's a 3. But that's a 3 in a Star Wars match. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I will concede on my original kind of hyperbolic analysis
See,
of that question. But like,
considering I got it right.
you pulled it.
I did.
Oh my god.
Barely. But I
Sensational.
that's what I'm talking about. Like how do you when you're preparing for IG, at what point do you,
Well, I didn't mean to do that. I hit the space bar. I was trying to go back to playing the match so I could just read the questions. And I didn't realize that just playing spacebar was going to make Future start talking again. My apologies.
No, you're fine. Yeah, you're preparing for an IG match, and you're like, oh, I need to memorize the opening line to every Star Wars movie now. Why? Who hurt me today? Also, Hasbro is, I think, now the deadliest category. Like, I'm back on this, even though we're not at this match yet. I think Hasbro is now the scariest category.
Well, you gotta figure Hasbro not only we talked about this before of the okay, what do you want to avoid having to fucking watch? Like, who off the dome has a encyclopedic memory of the Transformers movies, but now you gotta worry about G.I. fucking Joe as well.
Yeah.
and Battleship.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, Battleship, all of those butt-ass Transformers movies. Dude, Hasbro is some bullshit. Not that they're wrong for having it, but I would be filled with cosmic rage if I spun it.
I'm waiting for someone to spin a wheel slice and they hit a wild card and they flip it, and the new category is just Hasbro but harder.
It's like the Captain Crunch memes with like the oops all whatever. Like oops all battleship questions.
But it's all detailed like we need the quote questions and like full character names.
Full character names, including military rank, you know.
Yeah.
Which of the following actors were not in this movie? Liam Neeson, Taylor Kitsch, Rihanna? Psych, they all were. Fuck you.
But yeah, I'm happy to see Jesse back. I'm happy to see Brandon thriving with the Mercs.
Me too. Me too. I don't like to give them. I don't like to like. This is gonna sound so mean. Just because I enjoy taking piss, there's a part of me that's like, don't praise the Mercs. Don't. Just don't. Just be a sourpuss about it. But damn, are they good? And damn, is Brandon Hanna a perfect fit for the Mercs? And I love Brandon Hanna as a face. I love it. It's so good. It's so fun. Yeah, that's great. I'm flipping through the match. Also, fantasy sci-fi. So that's such a broad category to get saddled with. I do want to say that I am proud of my fact that I got that RoboCop question right. I knew that one because I saw the 2014 RoboCop in the theater. But yeah, Brandon Hanna pulled out a big win. You know, Brandon Hanna did win, right?
Yes.
I'm correct. That's what I thought. Oh, also, Brandon Hanna's 2 I liked a lot. Gene Hackman appeared in how many Superman films? That was a good question. Moving on to that main event, which was the big stipulation, you know, Bateman has to have a teammate or he takes a team's L that he just has to carry with him wherever he goes. I had the reveal spoiled for me. I did not know who won.
I did as well.
But I just happened to look at Twitter and saw a handful of holy shit, Team Action is back.
I think it wasn't even that I got like super spoiled. I opened the Facebook group because I didn't watch it that Friday. I think this is one of the weeks that we were like, we know we're not recording Saturday for
we're not
going to
shoot for Saturday. We're going to shoot for a different day so we can wait.
Yeah. And so I waited like a day or two to watch it. And in that time, it wasn't even someone had talked about them specifically being in that Friday Night Titans. Someone had just brought up Team Action in the Facebook group. And that was enough for me to go. Because like I had watched the opening or something. Like I knew the premise of he needed a partner.
Yeah.
And went, oh, he Team Action's back. Cool. And this is the stuff that like I think I needed last season to appreciate, because I also really enjoyed the sports structure of it for all of its faults.
Yeah.
Because when I started watching the Schmodown, you know this, I was not a big plotline guy. I was just, oh, this is fun trivia to watch and play along with. I want to watch the trivia matches, and I'd skip through everything. And then eventually I got too lazy to skip through everything and started watching the storylines.
It's like that TikTok meme going around that has been for a little bit, like the you know, kids like to see if weed's any good. Then they try to see if heroin has a kick. It does. Like that's very much like most Schmodown fans. I think they're like, you know, most Schmodown fans start out just watching the trivia. Then they like to see if the plot lines have any kick. They do. and you immediately are like trying to explain to a person, you know, movie trivia, pro wrestling bullshit.
You've brought up TikTok, and now I need to ask you a thing I've been asking a lot of people because I need to know if
What?
my For You page is just on cocaine or not. Have you been getting?
So you're going to the person who you know for a fact has a cursed ass For You page. Continue.
I've only gotten one other person who has seen what I've seen. Have you been getting the meme videos of like two guys will walk up and be like, "Hey man, what's up?" And then one of them will throw the other against a wall and just shred a piece of their clothing off. I don't mean like pull it off. I mean literally shred. Usually it's their pants.
I regret to inform you that I have not.
I
Your
have some
FYP
things to
is
send
just
you.
coked out of its fucking mind.
I have some things to send you later.
Please do, because I
wish-
want to train the algorithm to show me this.
I wish it wasn't as funny as it was. I have this kid I work with, and he's like 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with a bunch of young people now. It's weird. And so I can talk to them about TikTok a little bit, but I know my For You page is not their For You page. And so
Yeah.
I ask them, what was the other one? Oh, it was Corked Up White Boy. When Corked Up White Boy became a thing,
Oh my god, I love that.
it hit
I
me
love
before
that
anybody
meme
else.
So much. I love that meme so much.
Like, it showed up on my For You page. I'm like, what is going on? And I asked everybody around me, and they were like, we have no idea what you're talking about. This one kid was like I was like, okay, Dakota, look, man, I need to ask you, do you know about a Corked Up White Boy? And he went, who's goated with the socks? And I felt so validated.
It's so funny. Did you ever get the video with the guy who does like the Vincent D'Onofrio Wilson Fisk impression doing it?
Yes, I did.
Let's say, hypothetically, Mr. Murdoch, that you are in fact a white boy bussing it down sexual style in front of Vanessa. Oh my god. Fucking golden age of memes, man.
But I think I needed a season where the story had to take a back seat for me to appreciate that there was ever, like, you can't appreciate it there till it's gone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now
That's fair.
I'm like, oh my god, Sam Levine's back and gets to just play on his own, and Team Action comes together at the last possible second for a reunion. This is crazy, kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Also, where did what Andrew Guy sitting behind the desk turned out to be the best study session he's ever had, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because I just want him to play
I'm
again.
so pissed he's going back to the desk. Why, dude, keep playing.
I'm waiting for
Fucking get out there, bro.
For someone to be like talking mad shit while he's at the desk. He's like, oh, you want to play? You want a challenger? And he just stands up from the desk and walks over, puts the glasses
Literally,
on.
Drew Guy is becoming Moon Knight. He's at the desk.
Marvel reference.
Yeah, he's literally he's at the desk, Stephen Grant, and then someone talks shit, and that dastardly Mark Spector shit comes out. And it's like, dude, he's like, the guy at the desk and the motherfucker who put Ben Bateman through a table and tackled Roca are two different people. And you're about to wake up the other one if you keep talking shit.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a fluke. If I think being at the desk just made him ready for more trivia questions. And obviously, I'm sure he studied his script. They knew this was coming that day.
Oh yeah.
But man, he would be doing really well if he played again, and Team Action would be doing really well.
What? Give it to me. Christian, if you're listening, please. I don't care what I gotta do.
Oh,
I don't know. I
This
don't
is
care
a-
how many goddamn t-shirts I have to buy. Give me back to action. Especially
the
if I'm
match I
gonna,
knew a 5
especially if
from.
I might lose corruption. Especially if I might lose corruption. Give me another group of well-dressed fucking like villains to root for. As you were
I
saying,
like
Travis, I
the
talked over you.
I do like that they weren't just like evil. They've devolved into more chaos,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is great.
Absolutely.
This is the match I knew the 5-pointer for.
What
I
was their
knew
5?
I knew fences.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. Yeah. Good job. I did too. Good job, man.
I've never seen that movie. I in fact I only know it exists because of a theater class I took in college.
Oh, so you're familiar with the play. Okay.
Because the movie had just been announced that it was being made, and my teacher was excited about it and talked to us about it, and I went, "Oh, neat," and then forgot about it completely. And then the trailer came up, and I went, "Oh, that's when Mister Yeah, he talked about that. Yes."
That's
And then
funny.
that's all I
That's
know
funny
about
as
the
hell.
movie.
That's super funny. Also, I as it's come up on every other show, the existence. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of other Star Wars podcast hosts. And the only people who are like really into the schmodown in there are myself and Alden Diaz from Octo Radio. And on one of the days I thought we were going to be recording this podcast, I took a picture of my name that I've been sitting on. And he said what I agreed with, uh, that might be one of the funniest jokes that has ever been made in the Schmodown. And Brother Lomas and his deadpan delivery have made me almost pee myself like every time he has opened his mouth in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Like
and you're gonna have to
Drew
marry
just
that
hopping.
desk now.
You have to marry that desk now. I spat my fucking drink out. He just caught me off guard, and the way that he just like you have to marry that drink that desk now. Like it was oh my god, his delivery is so good, and it's done
Yeah.
with that like casual. And again, like, and maybe it's because like 90% of the people involved with the Schmodown are also either actors or comedians, right? Or entertainers in some capacity, like they host a show and they're a journalist and a writer. Like you have people who are in some way, shape, or form performers by trade who make up most of the Schmodown. And I don't know, this might sound like an insult at first, and I don't want it to. And for the most part, Brother Lomas is just kind of a guy who ended up here, who has become one of my favorite performers very quickly.
I think he would have last season as well, but they didn't use him as much.
Of course, yeah. No, you're 100% right. Like last year, I think he would have been like given the opportunity. I think we would have like 8. You have to marry that desk now by now.
Yeah.
Or like I'll be your spiritual leader, but I will not be your friend. Like it was just so funny. Like Brother Lomas, this might be wild. Follow me. Brother Lomas, one of my favorite things about the Schmodown is like how sometimes you have people who are just so hammy, like it feels like a fighting game gimmick. Like if someone made a Schmodown fighting game, Brother Lomas has to be on the roster because of just all of it, like he fits that niche of like being super specific and gimmicky so well, and I love him for it. But yeah, no, that was so funny. Yeah, I would marry that desk now. I love it. I absolutely love it. And whenever at the end, in the post match interview for this week's Friday Night Titans, with Bateman and Radis, when Andrew Guy reached, he was like, "Oh, I'm getting a phone call right now from my son." I really thought he was about to make another joke about the desk. I didn't think the joke was when I'm referring to my child, I'm talking about my dog, and the joke is that the dog is calling me. I really thought he was going to be like, my desk baby is calling me. But yeah, no, that was great, and I'm super sad that is going to probably be the last time I see Team Action together. And I hope by the end of the season I am proven wrong. I love Team Action. I love Bateman. I love Guy. I love Bateman and Guy together.
Because this also means Bateman is partnerless again for teams,
Yeah.
which we can't have.
No, not at all. I also love that, like, I don't know how last minute this was. But I love the fact that it seems like Kate Mulligan kind of gave Ben a hall pass to play Rogue so that he could play under Team Action. Because for a second there, I thought the Den just inherited Team Action and shit was about to get wild.
And, obviously this was the setup, the main event for this past week, thankfully,
Yeah.
because if it wasn't, that'd be a lot. Because the Team Action plays.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, okay, so now the Den has Team Action. And then in their post-match, Guy said, well, I'm going to manage Ben in his match against Radis. Well, he just said, I'm going to manage Ben. And everyone, including myself, like, that was the one thing I saw in the comments was like, so is Ben not on the Den anymore? Is Guy officially a manager now? And no one really seemed to be responding to those comments. And I think because, like, they knew the next week would pretty much wrap it all up, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so, and they mentioned on the desk before the match started that Kate Mulligan, he's still playing for the Den. Kate's allowing Guy to manage him for this match because she is a busy mother, which is respectable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. There was a part of me that thought for a moment that, like, a cut scene in the next week was going to be Kate. Like, what the hell is going on? I didn't, you never told me it was going to be this much of a thing. And for Bateman to be like, yeah, I needed a manager so people would want to play me. And now that I already have a win under my belt, the Action Army is becoming a faction. Kiss my ass. Which is where I thought that was going. Like, Guy would become the manager of Action Army as a faction, and we would go from there. Obviously, that's not how that shook out, but that's really what I was expecting for a moment. But yeah, moving into the undercard for this week's, and we'll be finally caught up. We had, I want to get her last name right. One moment.
You've had your moment.
No. And my moment is blocked with an ad. No, but we had the Punisher and Brother Lomas in his IG debut, and I was very impressed. Obviously, the Punisher was saddled, like we said, with that brutal ass Hasbro category, which didn't do anybody any favors. Jordan, Elena Jordan is her name. Again, Hasbro didn't do her any favors, but Lomas was able to capitalize on those steals, which again, I don't think it matters what context. Pulling down a win by TKO in your first match in a division is
I don't think it was just a KO. It wasn't even a TKO.
Yeah, it's just a knockout.
Did they reuse a TMNT question, by the way, in Lomas's round 2?
So that one sounded familiar to me as well. I think the reason why it was confusing was that when it was asked before, it was the first line of dialogue in the movie. When this was, what are the turtles' first words, if I'm correct?
I'm pretty sure this was because this was the one that Marisol stole from Ethan in their title match.
Son of a bitch, because of a different division. That's probably why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Good ear. I thought it sounded familiar and I just assumed it was in the other direction.
Because they asked the question and I went,
Because Ellis makes
This
a
is-
point to say this is their first words,
yeah.
not the first line of dialogue.
And that's why I was like, I think it's pizza. And then they brought up the multiple choice, and it was. I'm like, okay, this is the actual question. And I think you're right. They probably let it slide because one was technically in singles, where Ethan put a TMNT slice on the wheel,
Yeah.
given his allowance, and it
That's
wasn't
very
IG, so it didn't count.
curious. That's very curious. I want to seek out discourse on this. I want to see what the yams are here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised. And it doesn't. If we're going to talk about this for like 30 seconds, really quick, I think
sure.
it's okay for them to do that because for the most part, IG and singles doesn't have any crossover. So, because you got
That's
what
true.
Mike, technically Ethan Irwin,
Chance, Paul.
Chance. Okay. Oh yeah, Paul plays IG. Even still, that's 4 people that get like an incredibly minor benefit.
Yeah. Well, there's also people who also are playing Chance, Mike, and Paul, at least, are playing at like the zenith of IG. You know, like
Yeah. So
Paul
like,
was hanging out there towards the top. Chance won the tournament. Mike's the champ. You know,
yeah, I don't
Barbarian
think we're ever.
also does a little crossover there.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think we're ever going to see the issue where, like, in the middle of a title match, Mike Kalinowski gets asked a question that has been asked in singles or teams before.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the chances of that happening are so slim. And they probably record that in some way, so they're like, oh, Marisol and Ethan are a part of this IG match. We can use this question again. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
No, I think you're right. Moving on to our last match. Radis v. Bateman. This was good. I got nervous for a minute there. I was really rooting for Bateman. Like really hard. I wanted my boy to win, and it was so good. It was so good. It was so close. I think Ken made a great point at the desk that easy is in the eye of the beholder, and that some things that we view as layups, like for example, you know, there's a lot of like round 1 singles and teams shit I miss. But like whenever Travis and I are watching like a Star Wars title match, I can hang, you know? So like I might miss something that, you know, your average trivia Joe thinks is a layup. But like I can tell you all the members of the Jedi Council and the Phantom Menace, you know, it's a give and take. Speaking of which, Yariel Poof is in Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and I went out of my way to unlock him. Real quick side note about Skywalker Saga. It's blowing my mind the amount of Star Wars names I'm learning I've been mispronouncing my entire life. Because this one has dialogue. People talk in this. The characters talk in this one. So I have found out that the pilot of Queen Amidala's starship in the Phantom Menace, whose name I have pronounced as Rick O'Lee my entire life, is Rick Ollier. I was never. I have spent years pushing back on people pronouncing Yariel Poof. I have for years pronounced Yariel Poof as Yarel Poof. And it's one of those, every time I've heard it in an audiobook, for every time I hear someone say Yarl, someone says Yariel. So I was like, I can go either way here. You know, I'm gonna keep mine. And then the game said Yariel, and I was like, I can't get away with Yarl anymore. There was another one that I was like, wow, what the fuck did you just say? But I can't remember it off the top of my head, which means I'm gonna go back to mispronouncing that. But yeah, Rick Ollier stunned me. Absolutely stunned me. And I'm gonna be mad about it forever now. Neither here nor there. But yeah, no, this was tight. I got nervous there for a second there for Bateman. We moved into round 2 where Bateman was on fire and the Rager was not. And I got distracted by the question. I'm sorry. I gotta mute this. Yeah, no, I was super impressed, and I like Rick Rager's new gimmick of "I'm the greatest player to have this specific record." I think it's a very funny bit, and I love it a lot. And again,
I concur. I have a question.
yeah,
So you know when you do like a comedy bit for a while that like it gets ingrained and it becomes a reflex.
yeah.
Like you can't stop yourself from doing it. Do you think that is the case for Ben Bateman and his pretending he doesn't have it bit? Like, do you think every once in a while he tries not to do it and can't help but go, "Oh, actually, I had this," and then
That, like, part of
afterwards,
his brain's like, okay, wait till he says one.
no. I mean, like, he consciously tries to not do it sometimes and can't help himself.
Oh
Like,
no, I don't think that at all.
no, I thought I caught him once this time where like he was trying not to do it and couldn't stop himself, and I imagined like the camera cuts away from him and he's like, "Why do I keep doing that?"
I love one of my favorite things of Bateman is like is when he does the fucking Tom Cruise laugh.
Mhm.
Like that's one of my favorite Bateman bits is whenever he like does like the crazy eye fucking Tom Cruise like thing at people. Like it's been a minute since he's done that, and it's mostly because he hasn't been in person in a while. But like I think it was whenever Radis whiffed on the Soul Onward thing.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
But it was whenever he cackled, and I was like, "Oh my god, Bateman is in his head right now, dude." Like Radis put up a good fight, and he was great, but like, man, Bateman needed this. Bateman needed
Yeah.
this.
So do we
Yeah.
think? I think I'm gonna put out a prediction. I think Bateman's gonna play the winner of Kalinowski for Betty. For Betty? For Betty. There's not a second R.
Fra Betty.
Yes. For Betty.
I think you're right. And as much as I would love for Benny Boy to get a rematch against Paige, I think we have Mike Kalinowski v. Ben Bateman on the horizon. And I think Bateman is going to come off of this great dub and balance that out with an L right after. Mikey 3 belts. It's happening.
Yeah, you think?
He's on the cusp of getting teams. He's about to go on a singles run. Mikey 3 belts. Mikey 3 belts is happening finally.
He's gonna have to clean up his team's act if he wants to be Mikey 3 belts.
Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. No, okay, I'll bring him back in. What did you say? Did you say help?
Yes. Yes, I did.
But yeah, no, yeah, for Betty, KO is on the horizon for next week. I don't think we know what else will be. We're yet to have a Star Wars match, and guys, Jarod is hungry. Don't don't do this to me. Where Star Wars became a real division for the past 2 years and go back to this novelty shit. I'm
I
begging you to
think
not do this to me again. I can't. I won't go back. I won't go back to Star Wars novelty.
I think when we get Star Wars, it's gonna be a big string of matches because like we know they have to record these in batches, right? So when they fly somebody out, like they're there for a few weeks, they're gonna make it count, right? So if they're getting Star Wars people out there, they need to make sure they can make it count.
Well, as much as I'm complaining as well, we also have to acknowledge that Star Wars Celebration is next month.
And I think more than any other division, Star Wars is specifically like it has all content creators as its competitors.
Absolutely. I think I have an easier time counting people who aren't attached to a podcast or YouTube channel. And the only one I can think of is Gold Leader. But even then, I'm probably wrong. I just may not know of Gold Leader's Gold Leader's show. I'm looking Evan up on Twitter right now.
Because at that point they either have to bite the bullet and do a digital, or they can try to make people local, But
yeah. Well, I think another thing with that, with again looking ahead, filmmaker, just filmmaker is what it says. So again, like we were getting at, it doesn't look like there's like he does not have a Star Wars podcast, it seems like. Nobody's watching anyway. Never mind. Nobody's watching anyway. New episode every other Tuesday. So yes, content creator, just not a Star Wars YouTube channel like Alex or whomever. I don't think our champ does either, actually. Now that I think about it.
I think you're right, but he appears on so many Schmodown podcasts now that
Oh yeah,
that's got to count for something.
Oh yeah, and again, not that they're like fucking less than or anything. It's just off the dome.
Yeah.
Like most of the Star Wars people are from a crop of content creators, like you were saying. But no, here's my prediction, and here's why I don't think we've had any play in the Star Wars division yet. I think they're saving Harper v. Damon for Celebration. And I think Alex is in a specific realm of Schmodown competitor where he, not unlike the situation in teams right now, where they're like, Korruption, you're an established team, you're former champs, barring the I don't have anybody else, just at the start of the season, I don't think it's outrageous to give Korruption or Alex Damon just kind of a gimme title shot.
Yeah, I think, well, and especially like there's so many different plot ways you can shake that out to where like Damon is insane and like forces Harloff to give him the match.
Yeah,
or
at Celebration.
Harloff is in this position where he needs a Star Wars match, and it's the only thing he can think of that's readily available. Anything like that. The world is his Star Wars oyster. So
and I hope we get
or we get something crazy and we get some kind of like we get a multi-person match again.
That would be amazing.
And the winner of the the old school Fatal 5-Way, the winner goes to play for the belt.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. That would be neat if they did it that way. I very badly want to see Damon v. Harper Like, I want to see them play in the Schmodown, and I can't think of a bigger stage to finally have them go toe to toe than at Celebration. Especially considering Celebration is in California this year. So, like, it's not like a lot of the Schmodown people, like production, is going to have to bend over backwards to make that happen, be it at a live event or in the studio. If it was going to be a live event, I feel like it would have been announced by now.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe the Schmodown is like on the podcast stage and they have not confirmed to us that they are or aren't yet. I know a lot of other shows have already done their, we got accepted, we didn't get accepted for the pod stage, or media passes or whatever. So maybe there's something going on there, but be that as it may, you still have everybody's going to be in California that weekend. Say Harper and Alex show up a week early so they can record the Star Wars match and release it during Celebration, where Star Wars is going to be a hot commodity in every algorithm anyway. Who's to say? I would not be surprised if that's what happens. And also, the Schmodown historically does Star Wars shit during Celebration, so it's a safe bet. It's a safe bet. If it comes to pass or not, is to be seen. But Travis, I think we did it. I think we are finally caught up. Why is Thor: Love and Thunder trending? Okay. It's just the action figures. It's still people are still just talking about the action figures.
Good.
I was to say, oh boy, tomorrow just got very packed. I mean, it's not. We don't have a lot of news, but we got 2 episodes of Moon Knight to go over for TNAP. Travis, where can? Oh, cut off my lip. Where can the lovely people find you, good friend?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Political, where I don't post.
It's valid.
Yeah. I barely even look anymore, to be honest. Like, I will open them occasionally, scroll for about 30 seconds. I will use Twitter if a news thing is happening, I'll use Twitter to hunt down an article about the story, whatever, after the Oscar incident. It was okay, Twitter trending Will Smith. Scroll. Okay, here's okay. That's my Twitter vibe now. It's just, there's a world event happening. Okay, gotta open Twitter.
Hey, don't forget the clip art of the crying child.
The what?
Don't forget the clip art of the crying child. That's the only other thing you tweet.
Oh, right. Yeah. Everyone's. I feel like today might be one of those days. I'm gonna be real with you.
You might.
I don't want to go to work. I know it's coming. It's gonna be a rough day. But yeah. At Travis Political.
Hold on. Yes. Hold on. I'm trying to find a crying child tweet. I'm getting pissed. I'm seeing tweets that I know I've liked that don't have my like thing on it. Yeah, there we go. This was a good one. I've liked all of these. Even your pinned tweet, the one that went semi-viral of you and your Oscar Isaac thing. I liked and retweeted that. I'm very confused.
I know you did.
At the moment. I'm just going through why is my thing gone? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Twitter fixed this shit. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, stalking Travis's socials to make sure he knows I love him. at Dark Jedi 2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.nerdacademypodcast, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon. Shit, wrong one. Ah! Where's the guy? Shit, I lost give me $1 guy.
Give me $1.
There he is. Thank you to our $10 alumnus, Nick Job. And let me pull it up so I get it right this time. Alex Jones is globalist reptilian QAnon horse ivermectin, aka Paco. Thank you. Speaking of Alex Jones, Travis, it's a very special day in a couple weeks for me.
Yeah.
Trial starts on the 25th.
Good.
Yeah.
How quickly do you think he gets held in contempt?
So, oh boy. How aware are you as to what is going on with this trial?
This is the Sandy Hook one?
This is the Texas Sandy Hook defamation case, yes. Because he's being sued in both Connecticut and Texas.
Good.
This is the Texas trial. Good is the right response to that. He's getting it from both states. He has already lost the suit by default.
Mm-hmm. I thought
Which
I
is the
saw
big
that.
thing that, yeah. So this trial essentially exists just to decide how fucked he is. And if you would like to be completely caught up on the matter, I have one hell of a podcast playlist for you. If you want to get into the muck with me.
I'll think about it. I don't know. We'll see. I've been on a big Magic podcast kick lately.
Okay.
I have I didn't there's going to be an SCG con in Pittsburgh. If you play Magic, you know what that is probably. Star
that's
City
so
Games.
cool.
Yeah, Star City Games. Because they announced they were having events again, beginning of the year / end of last year. And I forget. I was listening to something that like, yeah, we're going to be at SCG Indianapolis, and I'm like, Indy's actually like relatively like I've been to Indianapolis. It's not that far. It's still decently far, but I was like, I wonder if they have one like around. And this is like middle of last month. And I wonder if they have one like in like maybe Philly, maybe somewhere in Virginia, because I think that's where like the main store. Because Star City Games is a card store.
Yeah.
And I opened the website for the tour dates, and there's one in Pittsburgh at the end of the month, and I had no idea it was coming. So,
dude, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you.
I have an Airbnb in Pittsburgh. I have the weekend off, and I'm going to go play children's cards for money. It's going to be great.
Bro, that's fucking cool as shit.
Yeah,
Spread the good word. It's funny you mentioned that. I'm actually like at some point this week probably ordering TNAP business cards for the Roosevelt's thing I'm going to in June. I'll order extra. You put that in your deck. Just how'd that get in there? Do like the Tobey Maguire. But yeah, no, the trial's at the end of the month, and I am binging. I'm in the process of binging all of the Knowledge Fight Sandy Hook coverage, so that I am completely caught up and ready for the trial. Because I've not listened. I like this is like new content for me because I have not had it in me to like go back and listen to that son of a bitch say the awful things he said. And I had no idea the trial was this month. I didn't think it was for several months. but I was like, I want to be as informed as possible going into the trial itself. I've listened to the depositions, both the depositions themselves and their coverage of the depositions, which will send your ass specifically to the spirit realm if you ever listen to them. They are incredible. But yeah, so that'll be happening. That's my little like what I'm listening to. I am doing a very big knowledge fight binge. So yeah, and I'm trying to bring people with me so like I can commiserate the trial with other people. Because my poor girlfriend has listened to so much knowledge fight. It's funny, when we first got together, her joke was like, yeah, this guy I'm seeing listens to Alex Jones. And I was like, don't fucking tell people that. Don't fucking say that to people. That's not accurate at all. Don't make it sound like I'm a fucking crazy person. She's like, Alex Jones comes over your Bluetooth devices, does he not? And I was like, secondhand?
I'm sure you've had at least one instance of you have it on and someone walks in during just a clip of him yelling into the void, and you're like, this isn't what it looks like. It's not what it looks like.
My dad eventually heard me explaining knowledge fight to somebody. And then after the fact, like, didn't like take me aside, but like we were in passing. He's like, I just want you to know, I was so worried when I heard you listening to Alex Jones. And now this makes so much more sense. So he was like, why is my queer child listening to Alex Jones? He's like, I know you're entertained by these crazy people, but why? I was like, oh, it's okay. It's not like you said. It's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like.
I swear.
I swear. But yeah. Housekeeping stuff. Not this Tuesday, the 12th, but Tuesday the 19th. Spencer and I are on the cusp of finishing all of our prep work. We will be finally getting this goddamn Versus series out of the way. And then May, we will be back with an actual Versus series episode. I have a cool one up my sleeve that I've wanted to do since Obi-Wan Kenobi got announced. So stay tuned for that. It's April, which means it's so bad it's good month on Movie Club. Patrons, $10 patrons, currently have access to our first episode for So Bad It's Good Month Volume 2, which was Halle Berry's Catwoman. I have sustained psychic damage for watching Morbius and then Catwoman in a 72-hour period. And for $5 and up patrons, you get access to the audio commentary, where I think it's about an hour and 20 minutes in. I have a psychotic break. Something happens in the movie, and when it happens, I'm not going to spoil it for you, unless you've seen Catwoman and you're doing the math in your head. And at about an hour 20 in, maybe it's like an hour 15, I go into an about 3-minute long sustained fit of laughter, and don't completely stop laughing for like 5 minutes. I've like it took the fucking wind out of me, and my soul left my body for a moment. So go again. It's one of those, like, it's worth $5. Also, you get access to like the entire backlog of audio commentaries, when there's 23 of them now. So, all kinds of stuff in there. I'm going to keep hyping this up because we talked about it earlier as well. Star Wars Celebration. I will not be in attendance in Anaheim. What I will be doing, however, is live streaming the entirety of Star Wars Celebration from this very studio. I have our StreamYard set up now that whenever we're live, it will also be going to Twitch. So we will be on both YouTube and Twitch live with coverage from Star Wars Celebration We will be pumping out reaction videos. A bunch of friends of the show will be at Celebration, and we will be in communication with them. Yeah, come by. I know that some years Star Wars, the Star Wars YouTube channel is live. And some years it's live from StarWars.com. And when it's live from StarWars.com, it can be really difficult to watch because you can't cast it to your TV. Or you can't lock your phone or exit out of the window. So I will be here. I will be doing live commentary, reaction type stuff to the panels, to all the news coming out, all of that stuff. And I will be doing that for the entirety of Celebration weekend. We'll be doing a review of the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So yeah, that whole weekend, this space is going to be live basically for all of it. So please like and comment and subscribe and ring the bell and do all that stuff. I'm very excited. I am going to break myself with Star Wars Celebration weekend, and I love pushing it as far as it will go. So stay tuned for that and make it worth our while. So yeah, thank you for watching, listening, all of that stuff. And I keep losing everything. Smash cancer.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!